Black Summoner is an adaptation of a novel by Defu Mayoi and is animated by Satelight, the studio that produced Sakugan and Log Horizon. This series follows Kelvin, a guy who was accidentally killed due to a god's mistake and is then reincarnated in a fantasy world by the goddess Melfina. Before his reincarnation, Kelvin chooses the role of summoner and asks Melfina to be his servant after falling for her. In order to gain more skills for his adventure into this new world, he abandons his old memories. The show begins at the start of Kelvin's new life as an adventurer, with him taking on his first quest, learning how to use various skills, and forming his first contract. The second episode is centered on Kelvin taking on a quest to kill a dangerous monster called the Black Ghost Knight, while also dealing with Cashil, a guy known for targeting rookie adventurers. As a fan of monster taming games like Pokemon and Dragon Quest Monsters, I really enjoyed these initial episodes. I didn't know anything about this show going into it other than the fact that it was an isekai. I started watching it on a whim as I wanted something to look at as I enjoyed my lunch the other day. If you're a fan of the games I mentioned previously, I think you should give this show a shot. It's one of those isekais where the world functions much like a video game, with characters having stats that can be seen if you know a certain skill, and of course you can level up after gaining enough experience. I went in expecting another run-of-the-mill isekai, but to my surprise, this anime is quite unique due to its protagonist being a summoner and how that's handled. I can't say there's much about the world of Black Summoner that distinguishes it from other shows in the genre, but I do like how things are written so far when it comes to how things work. Everything Kelvin has done so far has come at some cost, whether it be contracting a monster or even the exchange of his memories for more skill points. Even if Kelvin is yet another powerful protagonist plopped into an isekai world, at least there is a cost for everything he wants to do. One thing he can't do at the moment though is summon the goddess Melfina due to his lack of MP. Melfina is basically treating her time with Kelvin as a vacation and acts as a guide on his journey. Although he can't see her, he can hear and communicate with her, in addition to any other monsters he forms a contract with. One thing I like about this show so far is how the contracting and summoning mechanic works. Part of the fun of watching this show, I believe, will be seeing who Kelvin decides to recruit next. I'm sure for a lot of people that was one reason they watched Pokemon when they were younger, although Ash was a terrible trainer in retrospect because he didn't catch a lot of good Pokemon he should've or forced his Pikachu to evolve. Anyway, much like the Pokemon games, Kelvin has a limited amount of slots for summons, and the first episode teases the audience at a couple points as to who he'll make a contract with as the story progresses. There were a few moments when Kevin is contracting his first monster that were very reminiscent of the Pokemon games. For example, when the goddess tells him to attack the slime to weaken it, but don't kill it, or when she suggests naming it immediately after Kelvin is done forming the contract. I appreciate that he struggled a bit with the slime before eventually dealing just enough damage to make the contract with it. The action and animation in the premiere wasn't anything noteworthy, but I do think the backgrounds, especially the grasslands with the trees and the mountains, look great. The second episode had much more action but took a bit longer to get to it since the conflict with Cashel had to be set up. I knew Cashel was shady before he even opened his mouth. Just the way he's introduced was a dead giveaway to me. This episode featured two major fight sequences, the first of which was Kelvin facing off against Cashel and his party. This was a rather short fight that included a brief flashback with another Pokemon-esque moment in it. The next part of the episode with the Black Ghost Knight Gerald is where the studio unfortunately starts to utilize CG. To give them credit, it's nowhere near the worst CG I've seen, and Gerald didn't look too bad next to Kelvin before they fought. The CG during the fight scene did remind me of some anime mobile game cinematics though. Throughout the battle they switched from using CG to 2D animation for Kelvin. I didn't think this was jarring, but it initially took me a minute to kind of process it. My guess is that they were either running low on time or budget for the episode. Although I was disappointed that the studio relied on CG for the Black Knight Gerald fight, the battle itself was still entertaining. Also, the brief 2D animated part near the end kinda looked cool. There is a brief flashback during Kelvin's fight with Gerald that shows what happened to his family and the kingdom he was from. To Kelvin's surprise, Gerald acts like an old man and at one point asks him if he could help get his revenge. I'm curious to find out who he'll recruit next and how the dynamic between Kelvin and his summons changes over time. It's about to get real noisy over the servant network in his head. Even if he never forms a party with anyone, he'll certainly never be alone. The last thing I got to mention before wrapping this review up is the opening and ending sequences. The opening has some cool visuals and the upbeat song is awesome. I've been listening to it on repeat for the last few days. I absolutely love the ending sequence. The song is very relaxing and I like how the camera rotates in a circle, highlighting each character. Overall, I think Black Summoner is worth checking out and I'm looking forward to what happens next on Kelvin's adventure. Hopefully we don't get a lot of action scenes with a lot of CG in the future. Anyway, if you guys have seen this show, let me know what you guys thought about it in the comment section below. And as always, thank you guys for watching. I'm out of here. Peace.